Immigrant rights has long been at the core of what Pilgrim United Church of Christ is all about. Here is Pastor Madison Shockley.
Our advocacy for immigrant rights and immigrants has been a central part of our ministry and our congregation for decades.
In recent years, members of the congregation have opened their doors to refugees fleeing from life-threatening situations and welcomed migrants dropped off by Border Patrol in the streets of Oceanside. They've also engaged in political advocacy, like in 2018, when Carolyn Thies-Aird and other members of the church took Democratic Congressman Mike Levin on a special tour. He had just been elected to his congressional seat in North San Diego County.
When he was first elected, he was very receptive. We have taken him on a tour down to the border to visit the the shelter for asylum seekers. I feel like he represented himself as someone who was supportive.
But Levin's recent vote on a controversial immigration bill now has the church questioning that support. The new law is called the Laken Riley Act, named after a 22-year-old Georgia woman who was killed last February by an unauthorized immigrant who had been released after being arrested on theft charges. Among other things, the law requires mandatory detention for immigrants without legal status who are arrested for theft or shoplifting, even if they're not charged or convicted. Backers of the law say that it would have prevented Riley's death. Opponents say it's an overly harsh response to a tragic but rare killing, and that it violates constitutional guarantees of due process. Levin is the only Democrat in San Diego, and just one of 3 in all of California who support the law. Shockley says they feel a sense of betrayal.
I was very disappointed in Representative Levin. I wrote to him and expressed my disappointment, much as I've shared today. This does pander to the worst instincts of our nativist neighbors.
Levin declined an interview request or to explain the thought process behind the vote. His spokesperson told KPBS, quote, "We are going to pass on commenting for now." Levin represents the 49th Congressional District, which is considered a swing district, with 36% of registered voters being Democrats and 33% being Republicans. Thies-Aird believes that Levin's vote was a way to win over conservative voters in the Purple District.
I think he's worried about his Orange County neighbors reelecting him. And he's always posited that he doesn't vote by what's popular. But I think in this case, I can't see any other reason why he would vote yes on it.
Other San Diego Democrats who voted against the bill told KPBS that they're concerned about possible due process violations. Congressman Juan Vargas says, quote, "Immigrants who are convicted of crimes are already subject to deportation. This bill exploits a horrible tragedy to strip away civil liberties." Congressman Scott Peters says he supports a strong border and deporting immigrants convicted of violent crimes. But he voted against the bill because it, quote, "eliminates bedrock due process values for people." Both represent solidly blue districts. Congressman Darrell Issa is the only Republican representing San Diego. He says he was proud to vote for the bipartisan bill, calling it a, quote, "important law enforcement reform that will make us safer." Back at Pilgrim United, Pastor Shockley says the Laken Riley Act will not change the church's work with the immigrant community.
They say, I don't want to just sit here and think about the issues. I want to be engaged. I want to make a difference in the real world because we're a border city, as you know, being 51 miles from the Mexico border, and we can see the impact of what happens in Washington, D.C.
Addressing that impact remains central to their ministry. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.